All right. Well, welcome to Chuck and Z Weekend Movie Reviews. We've got 4 movies we're going to talk about today. But before we get started, go ahead and click a like, and you can gently click on the subscribe button. I see all the videos online where everybody's like, smash the button, smash the subscribe. What did it do to you? Be nice to it.
Oh my God.
Why you gotta be so mean? You can gently click the subscribe button, and of course leave comments in the comment section if you have any thoughts, ideas, or even movies that you would like us to review. So with that being said, I'm Chuck.
I'm Z.
And we're going to talk about 4 films today.
Yes.
We just saw John Wick 3 again for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to talk about Brightburn.
Yes, and Godzilla.
2 and Aladdin. This might be a little bit of a negative session
negative
because
review.
we've got 4 movies that were mixed. Some we're not so mixed about, but some we're pretty mixed on. Things we liked, things we didn't like. But before we get into each one of them, go ahead and let you know this is your spoiler warning because we will be talking about details of the films.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen John Wick 3, Aladdin, Brightburn, or Godzilla 2, just go ahead and go watch those and come right back. We'll wait.
All right.
All right. Welcome back. All right. So I guess we can start off with Brightburn.
Okay.
What did you think about that film?
So I liked the take on it. I liked that it was very, very dark, and the kid, they didn't really hold back on anything as far as like the violence and the gore and that sort of thing. So I liked it. The only thing I didn't like about it was the just the story, the plot line wasn't
really
followed through.
Oh,
right.
No. So when you say that they didn't follow through, what do you mean? Do you mean like you don't feel like that the story had resolution, or that you wanted more of him being destructive, or?
Yeah, I wanted more of him being destructive, and I wanted less of, I don't know, it just felt like he was trying to be innocent but then trying to be evil.
Like they were conflicted on.
Yeah.
Okay. So to help folks understand what we're talking about, the movie Brightburn is what I would consider to be a dark take on the origins of Superman. You basically have a kid who is an alien who crash lands to the planet, and instead of him, being wholesome and good, somewhere around, I think it's age 12, something triggers, and the spaceship that he landed in starts calling to him, and he starts getting really violent and discovers that he's basically invulnerable and can move at incredible speed and has all kinds of power. And he decides he doesn't want to be so nice to the human race.
Right, but why? So that's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, I think it's because what's an interesting take on it, and this could be me reading way too much into the film, but it was almost like a take on bullying. Because he was kind of bullied when he was younger, and so it's like, what if Superman weren't all good and kind of got bullied when he was a kid because he was different and couldn't hang out and couldn't do the things that other kids do, so the kids picked on him, and so it pushed him into another direction. Plus, he was obsessed with that one girl, and she was she rejected him pretty hardcore. So could you imagine being, if you think about it as a thought experiment, being that age and having those kind of powers and having to come to grips with that, the fact that you're not like everybody else. And why listen to any of these people? Because they can't do anything to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought that it was good. I love what you said, that they didn't hold back. They clearly show, what somebody who has that kind of power could do to another human being on a intimate level, which is kind of, not, I don't mean intimate as in like intimate, like as in like it was up close and personal what he was doing to some of the people. But I felt like they could have done more.
And why did he kill who he killed? Why did he have a problem with certain people in his family.
So spoilers, as we said earlier, he kills everyone. So
It doesn't hold back.
No, he kills his dad, his mom, well, his adopted dad, his adopted mom. But I think it's because they too realized that he was a threat. And I love the fact that they didn't. So, for instance, what should you do as a human if you see that there is this monster that's among us, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, you got to try to kill it. If it's running around killing everybody, and that scene where she shoots him in the back of the head that bounces off, so awesome. Yeah. Like the scene in the diner was awesome. That scene was awesome. I thought it was a great premise.
Yeah.
But I think that it could have done a little bit more. I think I would have liked to have seen the end show that he is a greater existential threat to the entire planet.
Yeah.
Instead of, but I guess they're kind of trying to get there. I mean, there's probably going to be a sequel.
You think so?
Yeah. But for this particular movie, it's like I said, I'm conflicted because it's a catch-22. I like the fact that it was intimate and kind of lived in, and you got to know the characters more so than you do in your traditional, Superman or superhero movie. Yeah. But at the same time, I just wanted a little bit more of a greater threat. That's all.
Okay.
But overall, I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yep. So out of 5, what would you give it?
Out of 5?
Yeah.
Are we talking 5 stars? We're going to do the 5 stars?
Out of 5 stars.
I'd say 3.5.
Okay.
I'd say 3.5. And to kind of give you an idea of that scale, a Godfather would be a 5 for me. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Or a Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
That would be a 5 for me.
Right.
Forrest Gump used to be pretty high up there, but it hasn't done well on repeat viewings as well as it used to. But I still like it. I still think it's up there. Okay. So 3.5. What about you?
All right. Yeah, I'll give it a 3.
3? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. What do we want to tackle next? You want to go super dark, or do you want to go another one that we're kind of like?
Yeah, let's go with Godzilla.
Godzilla
2.
Godzilla 2. All right, you go first.
I always go first.
All right, I'll go first. It's the first episode. she has gone first 100% of the time until now. Actually, that's accurate. So I thought it was gorgeous. The special effects are insane. Mm-hmm. You believed the scale of these animals. You really did. So Godzilla 2 is a continuation, of course, of Godzilla, in which there are other titans that have been awoken, and now they're wreaking havoc, and there's like an alpha, and they have to fight and all that jazz. And so that part of it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I loved the visual effects and the sheer destruction that they showed.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything else was ass. Pretty much everything else. Let me rewrite.
Okay.
Pretty much everything else was garbage.
Yeah. Well, I guess the fact that they didn't really go back to the previous story, other than they were in that city that got destroyed, they had no characters that were in the previous story come back to this one.
True. Well,
so
wasn't that main guy in the previous one?
I don't.
The guy that was off. I don't know.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. No, he wasn't, was he?
There was nobody.
No, that's a whole new pickup.
Yeah.
But they started the movie as if he was a main character from the last one. I haven't seen the original Godzilla in a minute. But
because it was in the city.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Got destroyed.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And then, so that was kind of crazy. And then the whole mom being like the bad guy, but not really.
Right.
It was just.
You know what it reminded me of is my kids. They used to have like G.I. Joes and Barbies and all that, and they would tell a story, and they'd be like, "Well, and now the mom turns bad."
Yeah.
And then now the mom saves the day.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
was just that kind of thing.
Right, because it was just so like forced.
Right, and that's the other thing too. So I'll dive in a little bit in that. That's what I didn't like is they if they would have played it hammy. Right? Godzilla is a big monster wrecking stuff and a bunch of people running away and trying to fight it or whatever. But this whole, he's our friend and we're buddies and we're going to use him to fight these other people. And there's this whole complicated mythology. I guess he had a throne room, Godzilla did, or something. And then they seem to take it like really seriously, like the dialogue, like the actors were going for it, but the dialogue was atrocious.
It was.
outside of one laugh out loud line that I literally, despite myself, I did not want to give the movie credit for. But there is one line that's delivered by Zhang Si, who's from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and it's a great line. I think I laughed like 4 or 5 times thinking about the line. It was awesome. But anyways.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it and laughing
Yeah.
now. So yeah, it was a pretty trashy movie. I'd probably give it a 1.
A 1
on a 5.
Yeah, I'd give it a 1.5 just for the joke alone.
Yeah, the joke was good, and the special effects. I liked how intense they made Godzilla.
Yeah.
Whenever he would attack.
Yeah.
But honestly, the Titans, I didn't really. I guess that's how they looked in the comics or whatever. Or
in the originals.
In the originals,
the old
but
ones.
it didn't.
You just didn't. You
I
didn't
didn't
feel
like
it.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing too, that there was almost no sense of danger to any of the main characters, because every single time you're like, oh, someone's about to get messed up, here comes Deus Ex Machina Godzilla, almost every time. And then it was Mothra that was a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
It was like you would have like the monsters poised, and they were like screaming, and like out of nowhere just another monster drops them. It was almost like the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Where they would have the big monster coming after the submerged submarine thing. I don't remember what they called it. And then right then another bigger fish, and he would say, there's always a bigger fish. And then another fish came along and got the bigger fish, and that's kind of what was happening in this movie on a regular basis. So.
Yeah.
And then there was some unrealistic Game of Thrones style time, like distance travel. Like the girl left like a base, like a military base, and the town is being attacked by Godzilla and well, not Godzilla, but the other monsters. And somehow, through all of that chaos, she made it like 20 miles to a stadium.
Yeah.
In no time at all during the attack. While the attack is happening.
Yeah. See, I don't remember that. I know that we watched the movie and I remember the characters, but I honestly don't remember particular scenes.
I know. She told me whenever she came out of the movie, she's like, stuff happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the things were going on. A bunch of loud noises.
A bunch of crying, and Mom, no,
Mommy,
Dad.
but they were kind of terrible. So
yeah.
All right. Anyway, so
next one.
Let's go dark, and then we'll go to John Wick 3. So let's go with Aladdin. And
you mean dark as in
this is
you're
not
about to destroy it?
Yeah. Yeah. So to be clear.
Just to be clear.
Sweet D. All right. That's a good reference. I did not want to go see this movie. I was adamant about not going to see this movie.
Yes.
I get really annoyed with the current trend to remake what I consider to be classic movies that only should exist within a cartoon realm because they make sense in a cartoon realm, right?
That's true. And to be honest, initially, the whole Will Smith, like CGI in the blue genie, I was horrified. Like, I honestly did not want to see it either. But it came out and people were saying, Aladdin is great.
Yeah, my daughter. She said one of my daughters is a movie buff, and she gets into movies just as much as I do, but she's not as critical. So she's over here because she's like, well, she said that the movie was going to be really good, and she saw it, and then she said it was really, really good. And I trust her. I trust her opinion. And I was like, why? She likes everything. Name one movie she doesn't like.
Yeah,
she likes all movies.
It was her plus other people online. So
yeah.
I was like, okay.
So they drugged me to do it. I drugged them to see Godzilla. I will admit it. And the next day they drugged me to see Aladdin.
Well, I saw the original Aladdin in theaters when I was, 10 or something like that, 10 or 11. And so I was, reminiscing. It was like one of those movies that you always love, Disney movies that you grew up watching forever.
Right. And
knew every word. Like, I would watch the movies, I knew every word to every song, all the monologues as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. It was kind of like a reminiscing type thing.
Yeah, I can just put Aladdin in. I can just put the cartoon in, right?
True, true.
So, all right. So I'll
So,
tell you, I
force you
don't.
to go.
Yeah, you forced me to go. So just let me clarify. I don't like the fact that they're so like even the Lion King's coming up, and they're going to try to make me go to see the Lion King, and the Lion King is by far my favorite
Mm-hmm.
Disney movie. I mean, it is by far my favorite. And I hate the marketing where they're like, "Oh, the live action Lion King." It's not
It's not
live
like
action. They
CGI.
didn't teach animals to talk.
True.
They didn't teach a monkey to hold up a lion cub or everything the white is touched. They didn't
Yeah.
do that, okay? It's still CGI.
Yeah.
It's still a cartoon. It's just a really good cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So let me have my original. Stop. So all right. So my problem is I was hoping, even though I didn't think it was necessary. Whenever I got talked into going, I was hoping they were going to at least take the story and update it, make it more of an adult style story, or take a unique take on it, maybe a
True.
new aesthetic, a new way of telling the story, something to keep me invested in being a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's basically a beat for beat remake of the movie,
Yeah.
aside from a few little things they had to adjust because you can't do some of the stuff that you can do in a cartoon.
Right.
So I didn't see the point of doing that. I can just watch the original.
Watch the cartoon. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I wasn't thrilled
Yeah.
leaving theater, but it still kind of gave me, look, I was singing along to the songs and stuff. I was like saying line by line.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
show.
So you're saying the exact same
Yeah,
lines.
sure.
Exact same
So you're right. We could just
lines.
stay home and watch the cartoon.
Right.
But yeah,
And then they added some additional
I like the special effects. They were pretty cool.
that was pretty cool. Yeah, that was cool. The CGI is amazing today. I mean,
Oh, I did not like that Jafar wasn't as evil as the cartoon.
true.
Jafar in the live action Aladdin did not scare me as much as the Jafar in the cartoon.
Yeah, and then there
Did
was
not intimidate me as much.
I don't want to get political on it either, but there are some things they changed, I think, for cultural reasons. Like Jasmine now has her own songs.
Yeah.
So and they're all
They're all
super
about-
empowering songs,
Yeah.
which it's fine. I have no
great.
problem with that. But it was just, again, unnecessary. She was a fine character in the original. I never saw her as
being
belittled. Yeah, I mean, I get that she was a princess, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, that's how princesses were treated. So let's not.
And if you're going to keep it in those times, if you're not going to update the movie,
Exactly.
why are you updating
Exactly.
those things?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That it was again, I know we're again going back and forth between cartoon and reality, but it was a cultural relativism. I mean, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure why they did that. And then, they changed the ending.
Yeah.
So that she becomes sultan.
Right.
Versus and her father changes, but that would never happen.
No.
So again,
Not
I
back
know,
then.
quit putting your logic in my fantasy. I get it. I understand, but I didn't feel it was good. And there were moments where Will Smith was being Will Smith, and those are always fun. I like Will Smith. I mean, I've always liked him as an actor, and even as a what was that? He raps happy.
Yeah.
I've always liked Will Smith in that shape. But if I were him and someone came to me and said, "Hey, Will, excuse me, hey, Will, we're gonna remake Aladdin and we want you to play the genie." And he's like, "All right, cool, man. We're gonna update it, and it's gonna be modern day, and I'm gonna play the genie, and I'm gonna take my own take on it." No. We basically just want you to do what Robin Williams did.
True. Yeah.
But wait a minute. That is like one of Robin Williams' like top 3 performances of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right up there with.
He did not come close.
No.
He was on a scale of 1 to 10, he was a negative
Jesus.
5.
You think I'm harsh? She's like, he's not even charting. He's below the line. I didn't even know we were going to have negative numbers. But
He just did not do that character justice.
yeah.
I did not. I
I'd
wasn't
agree.
amused.
And then he has a love
I
interest.
wasn't entertained. Yeah.
There was no love interest in.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. But yeah, so I don't get the point of just remaking he came off as doing impersonation of Robin Williams with a few little edges to it here and there, but it just didn't click for me. And the whole movie, I walked out of it just thinking it was painful to sit through, because that's not Aladdin, that's not Jasmine, and that's not Robin Williams. I'm sorry. And it didn't feel like the movie to me. And I missed Iago. Iago had so many more lines in the original cartoon, and because they're trying to make him like a real parrot, he only could say so many things, and it kind of took away.
True, I didn't think about that.
And even Abu's personality wasn't as out there.
Yeah,
that's why it's better,
watered down.
Better as a cartoon.
Yeah.
Right? And why does the street rat know like parkour?
Hardcore parkour.
Got to get that parkour. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. So, needless to say, I didn't enjoy the remake of Aladdin.
Okay.
I would give that movie maybe a 1. Maybe if I have to scale it, if I have to chart it.
Based on special effects, I'll give it a 2.
I thought you were going to go hardcore. So the movie has someone in it whose performance was a -5, and the movie still was a 2. That's like a 10. How did you do that?
I don't know. I wasn't relating the two numbers. Just leave it alone.
All right.
It's my special number.
That's your special number. So just understand, I'm going to call you -5.
No.
All right. So.
All right. Most recently watched
John Wick 3. I've seen John Wick 3 2 times now.
Yes.
And I'll start if you would like me to. The first time I liked it better. The second time I didn't like it as much. There are still moments in it that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And there are moments in it that I go, that's John Wick. But then there are other moments where I felt like it was going to collapse under its own weight.
Yeah.
Like the first couple of movies were like, even the second one got a little, but not too far.
Yeah.
The first one was very like tactical, hardcore. He's an assassin.
To the point.
You don't miss an opportunity to kill someone.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever means necessary, you kill that person.
Yes.
And in this one, there was a lot of
twists and turns to the story.
Right.
It was like, okay, you're over here. All right. And then this is going to go to this. And then, hey, we're in Aladdin. And then, hey, we're,
True. All of a sudden, we're in the desert.
We're in the desert. And you're the street rat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I liked it better the first time. There were a lot of logic leaps the second time. And Halle Berry's character absolutely was atrocious. The only good thing about her character were her 2 dogs.
Yeah, the dogs. Yeah.
They were badass. But I mean, she did well with the tactical shooting, but she's just so small. She's smaller than me.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, she's smaller than me.
Yeah.
So for her to be able to hold people down and then, maneuver them to
physically maneuver their bodies around. I think you suffer from a little bit of being too intimate with the UFC. You watch a lot of MMA, so whenever you see that happen, you realize immediately, no, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. Whereas John Wick in the first one, and even in the second one, you could physically see him moving the people around as he needed to, but not with someone of that size. As a matter of fact, they've struggled with that in this movie because they wanted to. It looks like they brought in some of the folks from the raid for the end of it, which is fine. And I love Mark Dacascos, right? Yeah. But it became less about an assassin brutally going about doing his job in some incredible ways to it's a martial arts movie. Yeah. We're punching and kicking and
I swear they took Enter the Dragon. They had like an Enter the Dragon scene. Where the guy's being like Mr.
Han.
Han.
What do you
know about Han?
What do you know about Han? Not much. Let me tell you everything about Han, though.
So Mark Dacascos' character was Han's character.
Yeah,
like,
kind of. Yeah.
Peekaboo.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was a little weird.
Can't find me.
Yeah, it was weird because all I could see was Iron Chef. Now look, I love Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos is one of my boys. I grew up watching Mark Dacascos. I'm talking Drive with Kadeem Hardison is one of my favorite martial arts movies, and I bet most of y'all don't even know what movie that is, right?
Yeah.
So I love Mark Dacascos. Share a birthday with Mark Dacascos. We're February 26th, so. I like the guy. Okay. But ever since the Iron Chef and he started doing those super weird faces, that's all I see now.
Oh.
I mean, it just got so out there. It was interesting. And then they had the guys from the raid who, which I don't know if you know this, are a lot smaller
Than Keanu?
than Keanu Reeves. I mean, a lot smaller. So
like half his size.
So the
Almost.
scenes where these guys are kicking his butt, like hitting him, and he's flying across the room, you can see him having to throw himself.
Yeah. And plus, he was bent down a lot of the
Right.
times and on his knees a lot of the time because he had to like
It was like when
be
I'm
at their level.
It's like when the kids were 8 and I was fighting them. I mean, that's kind of what it came across as. Like, you know, a
True.
big man fighting two really small guys and they're whipping his butt.
Yeah.
And then eventually it gets to where he's like just kind of manhandling them with one hand or whatever. But it just felt awkward.
Yeah, that scene in particular when they're breaking through those glass columns.
Yeah.
Or those glass cases.
Yeah.
It looked so fake.
Yeah.
Because he was like really throwing himself at the glass cases as they were kicking him. So it wasn't like the force from their kick was doing
Right.
it.
You could tell that he was having to assist with the trajectory of his body.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, I noticed in this one, and this is kind of what I meant by it's going to collapse under its own weight, is that the fight scenes, there's a lot more of obvious choreography in John Wick 3.
True.
And what I mean by that is like you'll see
tell.
like he's waiting for the guy to throw a punch, or he's reaching for the punch before the guy throws it, or somebody's coming around a corner and he looks before they come around the corner.
Right.
And so and Holly Berry, it was atrocious. I mean, when she was up against the wall and the guys were hitting her, you could see her physically bracing for it. You know, like she was
expecting it.
Right. So it came across the fighting part of it. They should have stuck with more of the gunplay and that's what they did. And it was almost like he used the gun as like he was punching somebody with it in the first couple of films. And now it was like he often didn't have the gun.
Right.
And that's not what I was expecting. So it felt like they spent a lot of time worrying about constructing the mythology of the world that John Wick inhabits this time, more so than focusing on what brought everybody to the table, which was that incredible action. So I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I was too. And the story just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, okay, so the one character who's I forget what they call her. The stoic character.
Oh, the adjudicator.
Yeah, the adjudicator. Okay. She comes in, she lays down the law, but nothing really happens. Like, I honestly wish, and this is spoiler alert, obviously, and this is kind of mean on my part because I really like the Winston character.
Yeah, me too.
I really like his character, but they should have freaking offed him because it would have added to John Wick's anger.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, versus they're trying to hold on to particular characters that as a, you know, kind of like a lot of movies like to keep the same characters going throughout the trilogy or whatever, or throughout the scenario. So I think they should have offed him as well.
And the guy in Morocco in the desert, like, he doesn't seem like a freaking head of the table. He doesn't seem like his personality, his demeanor is just not as scary as that type of character. I mean, the Russian mobsters were more hardcore than this guy was.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at is with the mythology is there's just too much.
Yeah.
He's an assassin. Oh, cool. They have this network of services that they've set up to help each other. But now it's all, I felt like at times I was watching the scene in The Matrix where he was talking to the architect, where it's just too much explanation as to who the high table. Well, you have been deconsecrated. And it's like,
and then you being reconsecrated.
Right. It's like they've just gone too far with the mythology of it, whereas they should have just let him play in that sandbox that they already created. I thought this movie, now granted, I don't hate the movie. No. Right? There are a lot of good things about it, right?
Good moments in that movie.
Yeah.
A lot of surprise, like,
I just expected to see this all out, every assassin in the city coming for him, and he's just doing his best to get out, and he has to do this incredible, amazing task to make it happen, just like he did in the first one, right? You know, they talk about his legend, his myth. I want more of that. I want more of that, not this over convoluted, you know, totalitarian government system they have set up where there's high table, and oh yes, but I would like to speak to the one above the high table,
Right.
and or walk in the desert until you are
Can't
gonna die, and
walk
then
no
and I
more.
almost the first time I heard it, completed the sentence as he was saying it, and then walk some more. God Almighty, how many times have we heard that in a movie? So
Yeah.
it
Cliche.
also at times felt a little bit like the whole, and then the mom turns bad again. And now he has to talk to the guy who's above them all. And what
Yeah.
about that guy? That now there's going to be a committee that he
Yeah.
reports to.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's
So
just
when he goes back to the Russian theater,
right.
he goes back home.
Yes.
I honestly wish they had more of that story about like why he was there, how did he get there. This lady needed to be a little bit more regal, a little bit more. What did you done? A little bit, and it's like she didn't. Her accent was horrible, first of all, and then she keeps like, "I can't help you, Jordani." He's like, "Please, just help me." She's like, "I can't help you, Jordani. It's not gonna work. You do this and you do this, and it's on you. Okay, give me your ticket and I dare it. I'll help you, Jordani." It's like, what the fuck? You just told him you couldn't help him, and now you're helping
And
him.
there's a lot of that in the movie.
How did he get out of? How did he get out of the city? Like, how are you still alive? How is Halle Berry still alive after she freaking after they destroyed that guy's place and apparently
Shot a guy at the high
him,
table.
and he
Yeah.
was supposed to be like this.
But she just went home.
Yeah, she just went home like it was nothing. Like, okay, let's just make all these
Yeah.
crazy logic leaps.
Yeah, it was something else. And then you know, I love Keanu. Don't get me wrong. I love Keanu Reeves. He's one of my favorite actors. I enjoy his movies. I do. I mean, there's been a few of them here and there that you just go, good Lord. But he's not a thespian. Right?
No.
So you could tell that there's a lot of moments in and again, please, I really even feel bad saying that because Keanu is such an awesome human being. I feel bad saying anything bad about him. But there are moments where everybody else is doing all the acting. And they have to kind of like overact in this particular. I didn't notice it in the other ones, but in this one, it's like they have to overact and do more exposition.
Yeah.
Like there's
For
this,
instance, Halle Berry.
Right.
This is not Monsters Ball, Halle Berry. You didn't need to like get that far into the.
she's trying,
I mean,
she was going for it, but it felt
weird.
it felt like
to him.
You know what it felt like to me?
What?
It felt less Monsters Ball and more. Do you know what happens when you hit a frog with lightning from X-Men?
Oh my gosh,
That's
true.
That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
So it was a little odd. But then
A lot of metaphors.
a lot. That's why I'm dying inside. Okay.
That's why
That's hilarious. And then there's one where I really noticed the lack of Keanu in the scene. It's him. Keep in mind, he's the star of the film, right?
Yes.
It's him and one other guy. And the guy talks through like 8 angle changes, like 8 cuts. And then he's like,
which guy? DeCassis?
it's the guy when he first gets to Casablanca.
Oh, yeah.
So when he first gets to Casablanca, it's like he's like, and I don't know why she's allowed you to be here, and I don't know what you're gonna do, but it's John Wick, and it's awesome to see you, John Wick. Tell me, John Wick, or how are things going with you? Are things going good with you, John Wick? Things going great with you, John Wick? What are you up to, John Wick? So what can I do for you, John Wick? Do you need anything?
Yeah.
No.
True.
He goes, I swear to you. The guy talks for like a minute,
Yeah.
and Keanu goes, no. It's like, good grief. And then Morpheus. Come on, dude. How much? This was less Matrix 1 and more Matrix Revolutions in that he's like, I am Zion and I am not afraid. He's like,
100%.
He's like, yeah, you gotta kill the king. You gotta be the king. You gotta kill the king, baby. And he's like, what are you doing, Morpheus? Calm down, brother.
I am the something. What was it?
I am the Bowery.
Bowery. This is not Othello.
No.
Chill out. Chill
So-
out. You are not on Broadway right now. dude.
No. You do not have to pitch to the back of the room. You're good, brother. You're good.
His
But-
character was so overdone.
Yeah, if you're going to kill the king, you
Overdone.
better make sure you kill him. And then he's like, it's like there's so many quick switches with his character. Like there's
Yeah.
one moment where he's like, thank you, adjudicator, for showing up. I would like to pledge my fealty to you.
Yes.
And she's like, do you think they were really going to let you get away? And he goes, well, then I guess I should tell you to yourself. And it's like, what? Dude.
It's like, damn, bipolar much?
Dude, come on, relax. But anyways, John Wick 3, not as good as 1 or 2. 1 is one of my top films, action films. I mean, it's not one of my top films, but it's one of my top action films. I love that film. It's one of those ones you can just kind of put in and blah, blah, blah. And then 2 had enough of 1 in it to be awesome. And then this one, it's worth seeing.
Yeah, you're going on a different ride.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing, actually, because of they did have those, surprise type violent moments.
Yeah.
Things that you're like, oh my God, they're not doing this. Are they not doing this? Oh my God, they're not doing this. They did it.
Yeah. Super visceral. There's some very super visceral moments in the film for sure. And then there's one where, even though it was a little clunky, the fight scene against the basketball player at the beginning, I loved how it ended.
Yeah.
I mean, the fight itself was a bit clunky. How he beat the basketball guy. We needed more of that, right? Not samurai showdown, with the swords, and he's fighting 2 guys half his size, and
yeah, true.
Anyways, so I can't give it. John Wick for me is another film that's right up there on that 4 level, right? It's I can't give it anything near a 5 because it's not Shakespeare, it's not The Godfather, but it's a good film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
This is more of a 2.
Yeah.
More of a 2 for me. Maybe a 2.5, just for the fact that there were several moments in it where I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I'd say based on second viewing, it's a 2 for me.
Yeah,
it's a 2 for me, dog.
It's a 2 for you, dog, and she's Randy Jackson on it. So. I don't even know if that's a relevant reference now. Do you think kids know who Randy Jackson
is? I don't know, but you're not going to get Randy Jackson's signature.
Why do you have Randy Jackson's signature on a samurai sword?
It was the only thing I had, and you're not going to get Randy Jackson's.
Oh no, people are yelling at me right now. I didn't say it right. Why do you have Randy Jackson's autograph on a martial arts weapon, not on a samurai sword? So, in any case, well, that's the first episode of Weekend Movie Review with Chuck and Z. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, remind you to subscribe and like, and put some films down in the comments. Any film, old films, new films, anything you would like to get our thoughts on, or maybe just say they don't know what they're talking about.
It's fine.
Whatever. It's just our opinion. I mean, we're not
here to be right or wrong.
No, just how we felt about the movie in the moment. So, in any case, have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.